Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is the Tier 1 Transfer Podcast. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Ronaldo Brown.
You keep saying it, as always.
As always. Well, we've not been together, have we, for a little while? You know, it's been a bit different, but we're back.
It's been me and you only. But
well, let's keep
it
that way.
It's been a bit scattered recently.
Yeah, a bit scattergun, but hopefully the dream team will be here every week. And also joining us over from Germany is Constantin Eckner, who's a reporter for Sport1. He's done stuff for the BBC and the Times as well. He's been on the channel before. So, Constantin, thanks for coming back on.
Thanks for having me, guys. How are you?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Doing very well.
We're happy because the Jaden Sancho saga looks like it's finally come to an end. Well, it has finally come to an end. We spoke to you last season about Jaden Sancho last summer. And obviously now it's a little bit different because he's actually coming here. How much of an impact do you think Sancho can have at Manchester United?
Tremendous impact. I guess the whole rave about him that he should go to United, that he should be the next piece in the puzzle, as especially when you look at the attacking department. I guess that were justified, or that are justified. He hasn't made that many waves with the English national team right now at the Euro, but he was a great asset for Dortmund. Great one-on-one player, someone who can also go through midfield. Make his teammates look better, which is also something that can help. Can also play some of these final passes. Sometimes an underrated facet of his game, I guess, because most people look at him more as a winger, tripler type of guy, but he's also a passing player, competent passing player. So overall, I think he fits well with United, especially he can play on the right side. Could also play on the left side if you move Rashford into the middle. So there are a couple of options. I guess you can play on both sides, and just combined with Greenwood, Rashford, Fernandes. You got a good attacking department going there.
What did you make of the fee? Because obviously last summer when we spoke, it was it was being touted as around 120, 130 million euros or something around that. Now it looks like the deal's being done for around 85 million euros. Do you think that's a sort of fair price? Do you think United have got a good deal with Jaden Sancho?
I think that's a good deal. All things considered, it's still a lot of money. I guess because there were the demands last year, which were more towards 120 million euros. Of course, it looks small in comparison. At least, of course, there's 1 year gone by, and 1 year less on his contract with Dortmund. And also, the situation was, and I don't think anyone at Dortmund will admit, but they basically accepted that he will leave this summer. You could make him stay 1 year. That's possible for a club like Dortmund. They can, especially when the contract is still running for a couple of years. But at that point this year, they accepted that he will leave. And they wanted to get it done early. So now that they can go ahead and look for replacements, look for other options on the transfer market. The reports have been out there. Noni Madueke, winger from PSV, his dad and his agent both were at Dortmund last week was. So they were also already visiting Dortmund, to just look around and see what's going on there. So, to get him, you basically have to move ahead, get some money in and then make the next step on the transfer market. So they accepted that Sancho will go, so they want to get the deal over the line. 85 might be a little bit too small of a transfer fee when you look from Dortmund's perspective, but I think it's still a fair price, all things considered.
Sounds good.
United have made it very clear that they want to strengthen the defensive midfield area, and a player that we've been linked to in recent times has been the youngster Eduardo Cavaleiro. Can you give us the latest on that move?
Right. So Man United, they met with his camp, with his side basically last week. So that's where the reports are coming from, that they have been made progress because the talks went well. It wasn't like any doors were shut at that point. So United remain interested in him and want to basically move ahead. And there are two obstacles right now. The one is that there are other interest or other parties, other clubs that are interested in him. He himself had the idea of staying in France, but there's only Paris as a destination, where you can look at it, moving from Stade Rennes to Paris. That would make sense. Moving from Stade Rennes to Lyon wouldn't make that much sense at this point. So in Paris, they aren't as interested in him as he might have imagined, because they are loaded with center midfielders at this point, and they are also interested in other players. So I don't know if there's any space for him there, and if they actually want to go for him, they meaning Paris. So, but there are parties that are interested in him, and also Rennes as a club. I mean, yes, he is in his final year. He has just entered his final year of his contract, but they still want to wait and maybe get more money out of it. Basically, waiting for other clubs to chime in, make offers, and then it's maybe more than 30 million euros, which is right now the number that is out there, the number that is considered by United. If Chelsea is going for him, then maybe the number goes up to 40 million, because there's a kind of a bidding war. I mean, it's maybe a term that has been overused, but it kind of works that way a little bit. That if there are more suitors than one, then they can push the price. They meaning Rennes, and also he has Camavinga has to make a decision, and not only him, but also of course his agent, and what they want to do with his career. I mean, his agent and the agency, they have a strong presence, of course, in England. So Jonathan Barnett, a couple of players are already a couple of high-level players are already signed in the Premier League. So him moving to the Premier League is not something that's unimaginable.
We did see you post a tactical analysis of Eduardo Camavinga. What exactly would he bring to the Manchester United team?
Yeah, I actually did it specifically because I think there are still some misconceptions or misperceptions about his style and who he actually is as a player. I think some people think that he's more of a holding midfielder, which I don't really see. He started out when he was 16, 17. It's basically his first real true year as a senior professional at Rennes. He played a little bit deeper, but last season he played more as a number 8. As a midfielder that wants to move forward. That also he's someone who, when he gets the ball, he makes this explosive movements, trying to beat the next opponent or the opponent next to him. Immediately tries to get by him. He's also more dribbling focused than passing focused. His passing game is not that developed at this point, at least. So he doesn't really see the pocket sometimes. He doesn't really see the open spaces down the field. He's more, much more well-versed when it comes to seeing, the spaces close by where he can maybe move around and, turn around, make some twists, make some turns against opponents next to him. Rather than playing down the field, but that makes him an interesting player because in terms of dribbles, he's tremendous already. Sometimes maybe a little bit too risky, and I guess he would have to dial down it a little bit if he plays in the Premier League, for instance, because the intensity in Ligue 1 is quite low, and I also included it in the analysis that out of the top 5 leagues in Europe, the Ligue 1 is the least intense league. So that's one asset. He has really one-on-ones, quick explosive dribbles, quick explosive actions, and also defensively he does the same. He goes for tackles. He tries to be explosive. He tries to be much more he is much more dynamic than most of the opponents, and he just tries to intercept or force turnovers with these explosive movements. As I said, he might have to adjust a little bit and adapt a little bit his game when he moves to the Premier League, for instance, or even La Liga, because there are, of course, the Real Madrid rumors.
Do you believe that the likes of Pogba could be like a great centre-mid partnership with the likes of Eduardo Camavinga? Do you think he's got the ability to develop into that holding role, or do you think it's one of them where his attributes and the ability that he's got means that he's more of an 8 than a 6 and he wouldn't be able to pair with the likes of a Pogba?
I guess, you can still just basically force him into a holding midfielder role, but you would take away a lot of what makes him special right now. Because what makes him special is, moving forward, driving forward, making these explosive dribbles. So I don't know. I mean, you would take away a lot. So sometimes that's not the best move. Just then he's more of a ordinary player, and I don't know if you want to have that, especially with an 18-year-old who's still he's provocative. He wants to move forward, and that's kind of his game. So I guess what would work better is maybe him playing as an 8 and Pogba playing as an 8, and then you got someone behind who's more of the protective holding midfielder, kind of what Declan Rice right now plays for England. Someone who's behind the more attacking-minded midfielders, and then just providing some security. So I could see him playing alongside Pogba, especially Pogba. He comes He likes to go through the left side or through the left half space. Camavinga has played more on the right side, although he's a left footer, but he likes to be on the right side because then he can make turns into the middle with his left foot. So, him on the right, Pogba on the left, that might work. And then you got, of course, three players up front with Sancho, Cavani, and now that I'm talking about it, I see that there's Bruno out of the picture. But I mean, Bruno needs some rest sometimes because he was kind of overplayed at the end of last season. So there's maybe a scenario for him, maybe not playing all the matches, and you got 4-3-3.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you saw it a little bit in the Euros with Bruno. He's just played, like you said, so many matches over the last, not just this season, but the last season as well. He's sort of been ever present in the Manchester United team. Just moving on to Raphael Varane, another player we've been heavily linked with. This sort of the rumours or the reports seem to be gathering a lot of momentum. Do you expect to see him at Old Trafford next season?
So, not sure. I mean, they want him. They meaning United want him. I guess there's a little bit of hesitation right now from United side because you got Camavinga in his last year, in his last contract year at Rennes. You got Varane in his last contract year at Real Madrid. So there's kind of the hesitation that, or kind of the question out there: are we being used here just by players to get better conditions on a move or something, or on the next contract or so? Because these players are both in the last year, and it has happened in the past. And throwing United's name out there can work. Also, United has done these things to themselves a little bit in a way that, because United were interested in so many players over the years, and there were so many, reaching out to players and then, not making the move and not signing someone, but still being interested. So over the years, I mean, that's kind of a reputation United have developed. And I guess they are working on it to get rid of it. But, there's kind of the perception out there that, they like to want to make moves for several players, and just throwing the name out there sounds realistic. At least media reports about United being interested in Varane just sounds realistic, but there's more to it. They have made contact to his camp. He considers leaving Real Madrid at least, but he still wants to talk to Carlo Ancelotti. He still wants to just reconsider all the possibilities he has. I mean, there's of course staying at Real Madrid, maybe to lesser conditions, or maybe not having this same kind of or receiving the same kind of money than David Alaba, who just made the move to Madrid. There's kind of the concern, but maybe the Madrid improves the offer. Who knows? And there's also making the move to Manchester, to the Premier League. So I think he really thinks through all the options he has. And Real Madrid are still not really willing to let him go. They still hold out hope that maybe he stays. So I guess that's why it might, if the move happens, it might take some time, and we might see it in a couple of weeks. But I think I treated it out like the perception changes a little bit, in the sense that in the past there were instances in which United, they just made contact to a player or to an agent, and then never followed through or never followed up with anything. You just, made contact, feeling out process, yes, but there was nothing really going on afterwards. And so kind of the reputation of they reach out to 15 parties and never make a move. And I mean, I guess that's also has been discussed among fans, that, there have been so many rumors and, first contacts and never anything happened. They want to be more down to business. If we reach out to a player, we're really interested in him, and that's kind of the signals they have sent to Camavinga and Varane. They are, we are serious about it. It's not just us making contact and just talking for a couple of hours or so, and then never really following up on it, because that's not good for your reputation. And United is not the only club that has done it in the past. There are others. Even Germany, they have a couple of clubs. They make contact and never follow up, as kind of. Yeah, but they try to change that.
Just on that front, you mentioned obviously there's real interest in Varane, there's real interest in Camavinga, and also how those players could, or especially Camavinga, could link up with Paul Pogba. Do you think buying those players, if United were to sign the likes of Varane and Camavinga, could convince Paul Pogba to commit long term? Because we know he's got just a year left of his contract, and it seems to be very much up in the air as to whether he's going to stay at United long term.
I guess that would be something, that would definitely help. I mean, you got Pogba, you got Martial, maybe out the door, who knows. So I guess, keeping Pogba might help, because Pogba is a presence at the national team also. I know that, his time at United just last year, I mean, he has been up and down, 5 great games, 5 games where he was basically where he disappeared more or less. So yes, but he has a great presence. He is a leader at the national team. And Camavinga has made his first appearances for the national team. Varane, of course, is basically the chief defender at the national team. So yeah, they are connected to Pogba. And Pogba is kind of, a leadership figure at this point in his career. So keeping him, tying him down to a new contract might help to build a little bit of a French connection there, so to speak.
If United don't get Varane or Camavinga, who obviously are United's first choices at the moment, the transfers that they are prioritising at the moment, do you believe that there's any alternatives or possible backup plans that United could go in the transfer market for? Obviously, we've been linked to likes of Jules Koundé in the past, Pau Torres. Do you think those transfer links have kind of gone cold, or do you think it's one of them where United are prioritising Varane and Camavinga only?
They are, when it comes to centre backs, they are prioritising Varane, and the issue with Koundé is that he has made tremendous, or he has shown tremendous performances in the past year and a half, but there's still the 60 million price tag. So you basically forced to, negotiate it down to, I don't know, a reasonable number. So you as United, you don't know if really Sevilla are willing to, go away from the 60 million. And Pau Torres is also, he has been, and I've talked to other reporters who also cover United and are, close to some people that are basically in terms of scouting, in charge there, or at least are involved in scouting. And Pau Torres is like, yes, he's an option, interesting player, but is he really the real deal? ? And that's kind of it. And with Varane, there's no doubt that he is kind of the real deal, and that he would improve, of course, United's defense right away, that he could play next to Maguire, and, you could basically bench Lindelof, and that would, yes, it would definitely improve the defense. With Pau Torres, is he really improving the defense to the degree that it's really worth it to make the move to pay tens of millions? There's a question mark there. With Varane, there's no question mark. It's just, he's, everyone knows how great he is. And also he has one big asset, he's just incredibly fast. And that will help, when you look at United's defense, having an incredibly fast center back. That's, of course, a no-brainer in a way. And Varane has shown that he can perform at the highest level, and he has performed at the highest level for so many years.
Just finally, Constantin, if United, I know there's lots of ifs and buts and these deals aren't done, but if United were to get Camavinga and Varane, and obviously, the Sancho deal is already done, what sort of a transfer window do you think that would be for Manchester United? Do you think that would be one that's good enough to get us challenging for the title and maybe doing something in Europe as well?
That would be a great transfer window, I believe. You address one spot in the central defense, which you should address as United. You get your big target in jaden Sancho, and you get someone in Camavinga who might not be, a starting 11 player in the first few months or something, but you get, an 18-year-old. A lot of people are raving about it, justifiably, they do. Because he is one of the hottest prospects among so many center midfielders in Europe. So of course it would be a transfer window, and it would improve. Of course, your entire team. And and also I think when you look back at last season, Sancho would add some creativity. Camavinga would add some explosiveness, and also some, I would say, kind of an element of creating chaos in the opposition defense, which is also something that will help. Of course, Bruno does that at times, but it would help to have another player there, maybe next to Pogba, maybe behind Bruno, who knows. Then you got Sancho with the creativity, and you got Varane, who's also someone who's, of course, he works best when, everything is well organized. But he's also someone who can just, make these last-second tackles, and he maybe save you a couple of points when you make a few mistakes, and when you are about to drop points against a mid-table side, he might be the one who just saves you in some of these matches, especially because he's so fast. And he has done it for Real Madrid at times in La Liga also, when they were about to drop some points, and he make the last minute effort and saved you the points. So I guess it could well move you into the title picture in the Premier League, depending a little bit on what City, of course, do. I mean, they are also about to, or they also try to make a couple of big moves on the transfer market. So that's why it's so exciting to also follow and cover the transfer window in England. But yeah, I can see that really improving United, and maybe making the jump towards City and getting closer to City. And who knows where Liverpool are right now at this point. But maybe entering a 3 or 4 horse race and being part of it, and being close to the title at least, or maybe even fighting for the title on the last few match days of the year.
First and winning the league.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what City do. You mentioned big names there. If they go out and buy Harry Kane or Jack Grealish, it could be a different story. Constantin, it's great chatting to you as always. Thanks for coming back on the channel. And hopefully, we can catch up again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Big thanks to Constantin Eckner there over in Germany, one of the writers for Sport1, the Tier 1 side that is Sport1, writes for the Times and been on the BBC as well.
Multifaceted, isn't it?
Multifaceted, indeed. We get my words out. A lot of good stuff there. Obviously, we know Sancho's done. That's by the by. Camavinga. What was interesting about that wasn't necessarily where the deal's at, but also the type of player that United are potentially getting, because we've all sort of looked at it and gone, okay, here's someone who can play as a 6. But he was saying actually he did that early on in his career, but you're probably looking at someone who's more of an 8, who's more box to box.
Definitely.
And you asked him about the tactical analysis that he posted the other day, and I was reading that, and it does seem like this is a player who does get all around the pitch.
100%. I did a little bit of research, as people are prone to doing it when it comes to transfers. I looked at Camavinga.
Did you just go on YouTube? Do what I do and go on
YouTube
highlights
and
then make yourself
based on that. One better in it. Google Total Football.
Google Total Football.
You know what I'm saying? Stuff like a little data. Examples. And he's one of those. He's like he's basically said. He's a dynamic midfielder. He likes to dribble with it. Actually, he likes to progress with the ball. He's a carrier of it. He's quick. He's not what you'd call a definitive defensive midfielder who sits there, kind of shields the back four, but just breaks up play. He's someone that likes to get forward. He's not got a great goal scoring, obviously, stats. He's not someone that's got a great shot. I remember looking at it, apparently he was like a damning stat really. He's had like hundreds of shots, and they've all been quite relatively low XG in terms of the way that he's done it. It's not great.
Reminds me of a certain Brazilian midfielder we've got at the minute.
Basically, he's Fred level when it comes to shooting. But in terms of everything else, he's actually a little bit of a passer than some of the midfielders we've got in terms of his stats. He's only 18 at the end of the day. That's why I did ask him, has he got the ability to develop into a role that United want him to play?
Yeah.
I know that sometimes people would like players to just play their game, what they'd like to do. But if he comes to a club like United and he wants to learn and he can make a different position his own, I don't see any reason why he couldn't be a defensive midfielder. He's got all the physical attributes to do it. He's got all the athleticism to do it. It just depends, can he come in and definitively be someone that takes United forward straight away? Because with him being young, there's going to be question marks.
That's it, because people are going to want him to come in and start and just tear it up straight away. Exactly. When he's I think he's played less than 100 games in his life at the sort of a professional level. He's obviously coming to a new country. He'll be 18 if he does come, obviously. So you can't just think, okay, he's going to come straight in and this is it, we're going to win the league now, even though we like to think that. You make a good point, though, because a lot of, the most famous or the best defensive midfielders didn't start out as defensive midfielders. Like Kante at one point, I mean, even Sarri played him further up the pitch, didn't he? You remember when we had Sarri ball when he was there at Chelsea? He wasn't always a defensive midfielder. Look at Nemanja Matic. He started off as a 10. And then when he was at Chelsea, he was sort of just a defensive midfielder. And he
can't imagine Matic as a 10.
I know, well, he did. That's where he started off his career. Yeah. So players, tend to a lot of midfielders, defensive midfielders, start off as more attack-minded. Even going way back, even look at likes of Michael Carrick. I remember Michael Carrick when he arrived at United. He was getting forward all the time, and then he started, just sat back in front of that defence. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not saying that Camavinga is going to be the next Michael Carrick, but hopefully he'll be just on that level.
But it's just the United way, innit? Buying youngsters, got a little bit of potential, got a high ceiling. The possible sell-on ability. Do you know what I'm saying? The Glazer way.
Sell-on value straight away. That's what gets their eyes lighting up. Another player you spoke about, obviously, is Raphael Varane. Different
My
sort
favourite
of,
player.
a completely different story with him. Someone who is going to come. Oh, yeah. Someone who, according to Ronnie, didn't quite live up to expectations. But
He was a little bit shaky in the Euros. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean, right? It's bizarrely, I do. I think I spend so much time with you, but I know what you meant. But he's obviously not someone you're waiting to develop or you waiting to see what can happen. He could come in.
At the end of the day, he's better than every centre half we've got. Probably bar Maguire.
Is he not better?
And even Varane has an argument of being the same level or probably a little bit better than Maguire, if we're honest.
Varane's one of the best centre-backs in the world
right now. The issue is, I think a lot of people do what I did in terms of you put him on a pedestal, don't you?
Right,
You're like, you don't compare him to other centre halves. You compare him to the ability that he has. So sometimes when he lacks a little bit of consistency, which is what Madrid fans have said for years, sometimes that's what I was referring to.
Yeah, you don't know what I'm on about. Like Ronnie, when he was doing the news, said he was talking about Varane being one of the most sought after youngsters. Obviously, when he went to Madrid, United were in for him as well at that time. Fergie wanted him. He said that he didn't quite live up to it. He hasn't quite lived up to expectations.
Definitely has. He's won stuff.
But
I'm talking about as being a person that, especially in the golden age of Barcelona, Real Madrid.
Yeah.
They are
Do you know what it is though? Sometimes with
you
players, because they're that good and because their levels are so high, that when they make a mistake, it's highlighted so much more.
Especially as a centre half.
Yeah, like you look
at one
Vidic,
position you can't make.
Do you know the Vidic with the Torres thing? Like Fernando Torres scored 3 goals in 15 games against United. And it's like people go on like he scored every week because of that one time.
That one time where he ripped him up a little bit.
Yeah. And it's like, he always had Vidic in his... No, he didn't. His record against United was shocking.
Absolute myth, that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's because it's Vidic as well. People go, look. And it's like, it's such a one-off. And I think that sometimes with Varane, it's not like he's making mistakes every game.
No, he's
Most
not.
games he doesn't put a foot wrong. It's just when he does make a mistake, it's highlighted.
And we're not even looking for him to come in and be, Maldini. Obviously, he could... I would love. I'd love that. I'd love that. Yeah, we're doing. I thought it was Roberto Carlos.
Yeah, sorry.
But he has a trait that we've been looking for in that part of the pitch, and that is speed, as Constantin basically referred to, and that is something that you can't argue against when it comes to Varane. So if you've got that alongside Maguire, it just seems a bit like a partnership made in heaven a little bit. I don't want to tempt fate, but. I feel like I don't want to tempt fate
it should work
or exaggerate too much, but I feel like if with them two as centre halves, we win the treble.
I think that's a fair comment. I think if anything, you're probably underestimating what we can do. Just quickly, right? I'll give you a choice. We might not get either of them, but let's just play a game. If you had to choose between Camavinga or Varane, who would you rather have?
Varane.
Straight in with that.
Do you know why?
Go on.
Because there's a little bit more of a... It's not even a word, but...
Go on.
Unsurety.
Unsure.
It's not a word, but it makes
a little
sense
bit of doubt
in the context.
Would say,
a little bit
if you want to use an actual word.
Not doubt. It's got
a question mark.
More boom or bust.
Right. Okay.
When
a gamble.
More gamble when it comes to Camavinga.
All right. It's a gamble.
Whereas Varane, you're pretty sure he's going to come in and be better than Lindelof and better than Phil Jones. I don't remember what he even plays like, to be honest. Possibly better than Eric Bailly. He's going to be better than we have already, and that is a guarantee almost. And it's one of them with Camavinga. Is he going to come in and be what we expect him to be, especially with an 18-year-old adjusting to the Premier League, new country? It's a lot of pressure and it's a lot of doubt. I don't know. He's a good player. He's got a lot to possibly give.
As they would say.
Unsurety, though.
I'm the other way around me. I'd rather have Camavinga. If I had to choose, I'd like to have them both. And I wouldn't be grumbling if we got Varane instead of Camavinga if we couldn't get them both. But given a choice, yeah. I think we need a midfield. And also, Pogba's going to go sooner or later. And the fact he's 18, the fact you could, in theory get, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but in theory you could get a decade out of him or whatever. But I wouldn't be, like I said, I wouldn't be moaning if we got either of those players, both very, very talented and both in areas that we need reinforcements in and players that can come in and do not just a job as a squad, but also improve the first team. And I think they'd do that. Ronnie, it's been good to have you back, mate. I feel like we barely see each other anymore.
No, it's been good, man. Obviously, with the COVID.
Yes,
Gets
we've
in
had
the way,
some,
doesn't
yeah, we have. You're also doing bits for Stephen Howson's channel, aren't you?
Oh, the X3 files.
Yeah. So
it's
what's all that about? If anyone doesn't know, go on.
Do you know what it is? It's a podcast on anything and everything.
It's a meeting of minds.
It's a meeting of
It's
minds.
like the Brains
really.
Trust. Him and Stephen Howson.
It's basically what it is.
No script. Trust me.
No script. It's more Ronaldo Brown.
All right. Okay.
You know
Is it
what I'm saying?
Ronaldo Brown featuring Stephen Howson?
No, as in it's me.
It's not Ronaldo.
It's not Ronaldo Brown, the tier 1 podcaster. It's not Ronaldo Brown, the OT news reporter.
It's Ronaldo Brown in it. Some of the things that he says
it's
off
Ronaldo,
camera in the office.
It's Ronaldo
like,
Brown.
You can't say that, Ronnie. You're wrong.
Yeah, it's Ronaldo Brown the person.
Steve's giving him a platform to say that. So make sure you go and check that out. Also, big thanks to Constantin Eckner. Go and check him out on Twitter. He's on Twitter and he's always tweeting loads of good stuff and updates as well. And you can see that tactical analysis of Eduardo Camavinga that I was on about. This has been the Tier 1 Transfer Podcast. That's been Ronaldo Brown. I've been Jay Motti. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe and hit that notifications bell. Thanks for watching.